Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Officially, now that the recording is in progress from the documented team, we have four people from the documented team. My name is Nicolas Rios. I'm the Chief Education Officer. With me is Maria Arce, who leads the education efforts. With me on the undocumented, Eli Trong, lead of product, and Ireri, who is from our operation team. We want to welcome you while we wait for other people that have registered to participate. To this Q&A session, live session, will be recorded too. I understand that people have registered to also be receiving the recordings. Last week, we launched Documented's first ever education program that aims to equip newsrooms around the United States to better serve immigrant communities in different cities, localities, areas, or markets, the way that you want to call it. The idea is that we are able to share our methodologies, internal methodologies, um, from everything, from fundraising, from org charts, from job descriptions, but also from listening, and then from doing product development from those listening activities, and then being able to launch and be sustainable with a new product. The program is called Building Bridges. The reason why we call it Building Bridges, and there will be a column authored by me during the next couple of days or weeks, is because today Documented is a bridge in between many immigrant communities in New York. We serve Latinos in the Spanish language. We serve Caribbeans in English and Haitian Creole, and we serve Chinese communities, immigrant communities in New York, but we also have another audience, our original audience of people in English that work with that for whom we are a work asset. And those people tend to be decision makers, people that work in city council, that research the subject of immigration, lawyers, paralegals, judges too. So we are able to unearth, to elevate the needs from our listening activities from the different immigrant communities to the decision makers. And then we're able to also bring insights from the decision makers down to the grassroots and the immigrant communities and the different engagement products that we have on WeChat, Nextdoor, WhatsApp. But we also have events, in-person events. We also have online events like this one. We also have newsletters and social media. We have prepared a presentation that will outline more or less what this program is, and hopefully at the end we can go to a round of questions if you may have any. And this will be recorded for more people to also um, use this content. Maria, please introduce yourself and take us from here.
Thank you, all of you, to joining us today. We also want to thank you for your interest in serving immigrant communities. At Documented, we believe that serving our whole communities includes serving those who migrated, and that doing so goes far beyond reporting on immigration policies only. So, as Nicolas was saying, for us, serving immigrant communities means listening actively, identifying and responding to their needs, representing immigrants free from stereotypes and oversimplifications, and providing journalism that helps them to make informed decisions. As Nicolas was saying, and I'm going to be sharing my screen. Give me a second. Okay, can you see it?
Yep.
Yep, awesome. So let me make this a little bit bigger. So as Nicolas was saying, this is our first national training program that Documentary is launching to support newsrooms that want to better serve immigrant communities. And we created Building Bridges by implementing the same methodology that we are using with our immigrant communities. And of course, is the methodology that we're going to share with the selected newsrooms during the training program. From the very beginning, we wanted to this process to be very collaborative. We mapped the existing training landscape. We assessed current opportunities. We conducted dozens of interviews with journalists and editors across the country in rural, border, transborder, and metropolitan areas with large immigrant populations. I'm really excited to see some of them here today. And because we needed to understand the needs of the newsrooms. And we needed to identify the priorities for developing this training program for them and with them. So, although this is our first training program, the documented team has, wait, it's not, let me, sorry. The documented team has significant, a huge experience in training newsrooms. Our team has decades of experience conducting and leading, you name it, conferences, workshops, seminars, symposia, boot camps, training sessions all over the world. But let's talk about building bridges and its goals. As Nicolas was saying, our priority is to equip 20 newsrooms in the United States and its territories with the knowledge and resources to build trust and foster long-standing relationships with immigrant communities. We want them to help and practice inclusive, ethical, and high quality journalism for and with them. You will hear me repeating the word with them all the time because we really believe in this collaborative approach. Keep in mind that the first cohort will consist of 6 newsrooms, and we will have 2 other cohorts of 7 newsrooms, each in 2027 and 2028. The other goals that we aim to achieve with this training program is support the selected newsrooms in conducting community-driven mapping and assessments and launching a customized product, again, with and for immigrant communities. We want these products to really reflect the voices and the needs of the immigrant communities through a sustainable strategies. So we structure the training program around 3 key pillars. One of them are live sessions. We will host weekly live sessions from 60 to 90 minutes in which we will review the content of the 15 modules that this training program has. We will also offer to the selected newsrooms office hours, 30 to 60 minutes of office hours every week to provide feedback and support, because this is a very hands-on training program. So we will guide you and be with you through the whole process. Selected newsrooms will also have access to a workbook that will include the content of the 15 module lessons, and it will also include assignments. These are mandatory assignments, and they are mandatory because these are milestones that the newsrooms need to achieve in order to be able to launch an editorial product for immigrants at the end of the training program. The workbook also includes templates, samples, tip sheets, and other resources to facilitate the process, okay? So let's review a little bit what are you going to learn if you're selected to this training program. We will begin by reviewing the fundamentals of community-driven journalism, and this is because we want all the newsrooms to have like a shared baseline of knowledge about what community-driven journalism entails. And then we will dive into the core of documented journalism model by teaching mapping, how to map communities and their information ecosystems, how to design and develop questionnaires both offline and online to understand immigrants' needs. So designing and deploying them, how to host listening sessions or one-on-one interviews to keep listening to the community, and of course, how to analyze all this information, how to analyze results, how to translate these insights from immigrants to create first a prototype. And then an allied will help us here and will guide us on how to build this product, how to test the product and launch it with the immigrant communities. We are also gonna explain how we measure success and how we measure engagement. We work beyond traditional, online metrics, such as, clicks. And it doesn't mean that the newsrooms have to implement this specific methodology that we use, but we want to share it with you to help you reflect if it can help you by adapting it, by incorporating it to your own newsroom. And we think this is very useful, especially for fundraise when you are local. Sometimes competing for fundraising when you have in front of you huge newsrooms, trying to compete only with clicks, it's not enough. So we show our impact and our engagement in a different way. We're also gonna review how to organize a newsroom and editorial workflows around community-driven journalism. There's something that's very unique about Documented, that we have a specific role, which is the community correspondent, and you're going to meet some of them. You are selected to the training program and learn how they are a bridge, again, the word that Nicolas was mentioning at the beginning, how they are a bridge between the immigrant community and also the newsroom that produces and publishes stories, guides, and resources for them. So these are the main topics that we're going to cover, but there will be more. But we wanted to give you like a general idea of what are we going to be addressing during the training program. So financial support, very important here. First of all, the training program is free for the selected newsrooms. There's no costs thanks to grants that we received last year. And each selected newsroom will receive $10,000 to help them launch the editorial product. But that's not all. At the end, and that's why it's so important to complete the mandatory assignments, because the goal is for you at the end will have a product ready to launch, is that selected newsrooms will be able to present these products to an investor round for additional funds that will secure the sustainability of the project. Other benefits of the training program: a certificate of completion for the participants, for the staff members that will be part of the training program. We will also invite them to join a community of practice for ongoing peer support. We want this community of practice to be very active, to be a space for you to share ideas, to share challenges, to ask for help, to support one another. So we really want this to be a true space to share everything that is happening within our newsrooms. Once the training program is over, another benefit that you will receive as a selected newsroom is that you will have access to 18 months of free consulting with Documented. Every 6 months, we're going to meet with the newsrooms and we're going to analyze how the project is doing. If it needs adjustments, if it's achieving the goals, how is the product and the community, how is receiving the product and the coverage that you are doing. We want to emphasize this because this is not a training program in which once you complete it, you are alone by yourself. No, if you think of this will take 17 weeks. I'm going to explain why. Although it's 15 modules, it's 17 weeks plus the 18 months. It's almost 2 years that the Documented team will be devoted to you to help you with this product. So it's a long-standing commitment with the selected newsrooms. And another thing that I want to mention, but this is open to anyone today, is that selected newsrooms will be invited to become republication partners. Documented have a republication policy. So if anyone would like to republish our content, you can do that. But of course, the selected newsrooms will be invited to do so. So what are the expectations from the newsrooms and the time commitment? The final goal, again, is for the newsrooms to be ready to launch an editorial product at the end of the program. So for that, we need at least one full-time employee to attend the 15 sessions, the virtual sessions, to review the content that you will receive via email or newsletter, and to complete the assignments. And also we need one full-time or part-time employee that this person should attend at least the 3 modules that we have created related with fundraising. We talk about fundraising because we are a nonprofit, but all the strategies can also be applied to for-profit newsrooms, for you to know. And at the end, you will have, as I was saying, to present your final product to the investor round. We think that this count, if we take into account the time that you spend with the office hours, attending the sessions, reviewing the content, doing the assignments, that it's a commitment of 8 to 10 hours weekly. But keep in mind that these hours are hours that you are already using to serve your immigrant community if you're working with them. So it will be at some point adapting the way you work with them. So next, who should apply? This is open to reporter, editors, producers, and managers working for any newsroom, any size in the United States and its territories. The most important thing for us is that you will be willing and committed to better serve immigrant communities, and that you are planning to do so by launching a new editorial product or by overhauling an existing one. Eli, would you like to explain a little bit what are we thinking when we are saying overhauling or improve an existing editorial product? Because this is not about just changing colors, right?
It really isn't. I think when we talk about product in general, it's more about your editorial, your audience strategy, what might be helpful for you to be able to use to serve your existing audiences that may include immigrants or new ones that you may not have been able to establish like reach yet. So I think all of that really is encapsulated in some of the modules that Maria is leading from many, many different people who have experience with lots of different kinds of tactics in that space.
Thank you. So what's the timeline? We opened the application process like last week, and you can apply until October the 12th, 11:59 Pacific time, okay? We know that the Eastern time will benefit from that, but we want to be sure that just because we are based on Eastern time, that we are not cutting hours from anybody in the country. So it will be open until 11:59 Pacific time. We know that journalists love deadlines and we wait until the last minute, but please, I encourage you and invite you to not wait until the last minute. I'm already reviewing applications. We already received dozens of applications. So please don't rush to apply, but try to apply before the deadline. So after October the 12th, all applications will be scored and top candidates will be reviewed in detail. We will have a short list and of candidates, and they will be invited for interviews and final decision. The interviews are going to be virtual with members of the selection committee. The final selection will be based in a combination of the application and the interview scores. We will inform the selected newsrooms in November, and after their acceptance into the program, we will make the formal announcement in early December. We will have a waiting list of newsrooms because, you know, it takes time to start the program in January, and things can change. So we will have a waiting list in case any newsrooms cannot, for some reason, attend at the end the training program. So the program will start in mid-January and will end in early May. These are 17 weeks, although the training program has 15 weeks, because there are 2 weeks in which you won't have virtual sessions so you can go into the field and really work in the assignments, okay? So before opening the floor to your questions, I want to emphasize that we wanted to create a straightforward application process. You only need to answer 21 questions about your newsroom and the work you have done in the past related to community-driven journalism or immigrant communities. Of course, if you have done community-driven journalism for and with immigrant communities, that's even better. But it doesn't mean that you have to have, both experiences. If you the most important thing for us again is for you to be willing to now serve immigrant communities. Most of the questions are multiple choice, and you need to provide a work sample related again to community-driven journalism or immigrant communities. I encourage you to share something that you're really proud of, that can show us what we can expect, the quality that we can expect from you and your newsroom. So now it's your turn to ask questions, which you are all journalists. I assume that you have a lot of them.
I see Davi having a question.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for this great opportunity. I think many of us are definitely very excited to see something like this. Um, as I'm sure you'll see in our application, we have a bit of a different format, I guess, that we're working with. So I was curious about your take. So we are working in launching a social first bilingual sort of news curation. We'll call it account. And we're doing that in partnership. It was an idea that an engineer and two of us journalists kind of came up with. But we're doing it in partnership with the Latino newsletter because, kind of starting off, we kind of don't really want to take into, we want to be able to focus on the product itself rather than into the complications that come with setting up a nonprofit and all of those things. And so we're just kind of, getting on this endeavor together. So, given that we're not a newsroom per se, we are in collaboration with something like the Latino newsletter, who is just kind of also at that stage of developing their own newsroom. What would an application look like for us in terms of, being able to define ourselves as a newsroom when we're more on like the sort of news product design stage?
But the Latino newsletter exists, right? It's out.
It does, yeah. And I think they just got a grant from Carnegie Mellon actually. So they're starting to onboard some like staff for them as well.
Then I think that you could basically pitch your idea as a product option, and it would be great to like that you can define that umbrella organization, their audience, their reach, their main product, and how you would leverage that for a new product, and how you can also like leverage their existing audience, maybe for like again like your new product could be a could, could maybe reach immigrants, and then the existing audience could be other. For example, I spoke with people in Florida that they were interested in serving recent arrival Cubans asylum seekers, but they wanted this product to become basically a bridge role into Cuban asylum seekers and Cuban Americans. That are basically how can you elevate the needs from like one audience to maybe decision makers that could be immigrants themselves, that could be people that live in the same area. So I think that's sort of totally doable, Davi. It could be like a product of this umbrella organization, and I see no problem.
I would like to add something, Nicolas, to that. It is important for you to keep in mind that the money for the stipends of the training program, that money goes to a newsroom. So you have to be, established news organization. You can be nonprofit, for profit. You can be affiliated to a university. It doesn't matter, but you have to be an established newsroom. So if you have a partnership, yes, absolutely. As Nicolas was saying, you can apply as partners, but just keep in mind that there will be a specific organization that will be receiving the money. Okay?
Yeah, money cannot go to people.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
Yeah, and that's kind of the sort of part that we're working out with them, which is basically one of the things they want to do is they basically want to fundraise on our behalf because the idea would be we're platforming the content that they're doing, but what we're trying to do is tackle the disinformation, misinformation that's happening that Latinos are particularly susceptible to because of language barriers. And so creating a space in which like millennials can sort of easily have access to that information in both English and Spanish and share with their parents. And so is the lack of, trust in media, but also the sort of generational gap that we're seeing that, can impact the sort of misinformation and disinformation communities.
Okay, thank you. So we have Zewu, I'm pronouncing it properly.
Yes, it's Zhou. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm in transit right now. So yeah, I'm a reporter with San Francisco Public Press. It's a newsroom in the Bay Area. It's a nonprofit, and I'm hired to focus on the Asian community in San Francisco. And I've been admiring the work from Documented from Far Away for a long time. And my question is a little bit more technical, like in terms of the application process. And it seems like the requirement of it is that have at least one full-time employee who are going to dedicate energy into the editorial project. But it seems like it's something that is devoted to the whole newsroom. And I'm just curious, like, for example, like I have experience working on immigrant issue, but other colleagues in my newsroom have experience working on community journalism. And is that something that I can like kind of include as like a collective like this newsroom like when I'm doing application when I'm filling out this format form like can I include the experience not just from me but also like from the newsroom to be part of? Okay. See you.
Yes, in fact, most of the questions are about the newsroom because we wanted to for you to be able to show the whole experience, of the organization. So yes, absolutely. Okay, so
That's incredible.
oh, please, thank you for being here, Randall.
Well, thank you for calling me. My question is, how do you define a project? And if you think you have a project but you probably want to improve on it, how do you I mean, how radically do you have to change it? I guess they're kind of related questions, but unrelated.
I can take that. Hello, Randall. We participated in the round of interviews prior to launching this program. Thank you for your time back then in February, I think.
Yeah.
So this whole education program is basically around products. A news product can be your website, your newsletter, your Instagram account. So basically, what we and if I, so it could be like a subproduct of the larger organization or the larger newsroom. What we would like to see in your application is if you do have, because I know you do, if you do have an existing product that is already serving immigrants, how it doesn't have to change radically, but we would like to know what is it that you want to take it to the next step, or how, again, our program is called Building Bridges. Our bridge role in New York is basically the fact that we listen to immigrant communities via messaging apps, via offline events, via many different inputs, and we take that information to decision makers, and then those decision makers are served with the needs of immigrant communities. How can you think of your current existing product into becoming one side or the other side of the bridge? That would be a great insight for us. It doesn't have to change dramatically. We can help it take it to the next level. What is the next stage of those products? How can they become like an efficient bridge role? And for you to become a bridge role, you also have to have standardization methodologies of how to listen, how to improve your products with our with methodologies that we will be providing. How can you never stop listening, and how can you, from those listening, make content that will then be published to ideally people on the other side of the bridge. that is basically what we would like to see in the application.
And can I use a freelancer as the part-time employee that gets involved, or does it have to be somebody that's technically on the payroll every week?
No, I think it could
It
be.
could be a freelancer, yeah. As long so among the question is, do you have like, is the people applying having leadership buy-in? That the answer is yes, and the answer is we need the leadership buy-in. I know that in your position, your leadership, so that would be great because what we don't want is a junior employee coming up with a great idea and that is then not launchable because they never consulted. No problem with having someone on any of those contractual arrangements. We are requesting, however, the participation to some models, and that's mandatory of people on a fundraising or development or revenue position, basically to make sure again or to make it more likely that these products can be sustainable in the future.
Thank you.
Yes, I would like to add two things. One is that we encourage them to be full-time employees because, freelancers might, switch jobs. So we wanted to be sure that we will have someone from the beginning until the end of the project. But if for some reason the type of contract that you have allows you to secure that, it's totally fine. And the other thing that we also want to emphasize, and Rodrigo, I'll let you in a second, is that you don't have to have all the answers by the time you apply. And another thing that could happen is that you can have a great idea, and then through the training program, you talk to the community, and then the community tells you that, well, we want something else. And that would be fantastic too. So don't worry about that much about the project. The goal is for you to have at least an initial idea, and then we will see if that idea was the idea that your community was waiting for. So, Rodrigo, welcome. Thank you. What's your question?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for hosting this Q&A. I appreciate it. My question is a little bit similar to something that was asked earlier. So I work for Montclair Local as an accountability reporter. I'm in my fourth week, so just hitting a month. It's a super small nonprofit. Thank you. And one of the projects or beats that I've pitched as part of my application to this position, and hopefully for this application, is to cover immigration. I'll be covering Newark, where Delaney Hall is. So I think there's buy-in from the newsroom. Again, it's part of my hiring was to cover these issues. The nonprofit news organization I work for itself doesn't have much of a history of covering the immigrant communities. It does have some stories that kind of tangentially cover, or, news of the day type stories that, well, they go out and speak to people in the community. I myself have experience doing immigration reporting, reporting on immigrant communities and speaking to them, but it's been years. So I guess my question to distill it and not be too long-winded is, how do you see an application like that where there might be some time gaps for me as an individual reporter? I know the newsroom is who's applying. Would you just recommend that I show what the little work that they've done and kind of pitch what we hope to do with this through this program? Is that what you guys would suggest?
That's exactly. It won't discount points the fact that on like when we review the application on the fact that your newsroom doesn't have a current product. In fact, the idea is that we are able to help you launch a new product or improve an existing one. So I would say that there is no reason why you shouldn't apply. And yes, what we want to I'm going to repeat again the bridge concept. When you have to define like what would your idea of a product would be, think about that in your market, of course, in your area, and what your dream product would be, because that is how we in the product team start. Like, what is your need? Where is it that you would like to reach? So we can help you get there.
Danielle, can we? hear your question. Welcome.
Hi.
And
Thank
thank you so much because Danielle was one of the reporters that also helped us in the assessment stage of the training program. So
Thank you
Danielle,
very much.
so much for your
You're
time.
welcome. I loved giving my feedback and I love this project. So thanks so much for hosting it and hosting this Q of A. Yeah, so I was hoping that you could say a little bit more about the 8 to 10 hours per week. Maria, you'd said something about that these are hours that we're already working to serve the immigrant community. So can you go into that just a little bit more? Like, I'm thinking, how much of that time is spent on the training? How much of that time is spent on the product itself or the content for the product? And like kind of a little bit more on what did you mean about hours we're already serving the immigrant community?
For example, I know that many of you are already, for example, conducting listening sessions or you have surveys that you are deploying. So those are times that you are already, serving the immigrant communities. So there's a process to from the moment you start thinking of the product and you launch the product that again include mapping, include doing surveys. So there are things that you are already doing. When we think about those 8 hours, keep in mind that 90 minutes will be for the weekly live session, and then you have access to 30 to 60 minutes of office hours. So there you have 2 hours, let's say, and a half. And then you have to review the content. That takes time. You have to do the assignments. And that's when the assignments is the moment where you are working maybe in a new way with the immigrant community, or maybe we are just refining, the way that you are doing your service, your mapping. Some of you might have experience, some of you might not have experience. Sometimes it might be instead of doing A for immigrant communities, is doing B. I don't know exactly how every single newsroom here works with their communities, but it's time that if you are already serving them or you are already doing community-driven journalism, it's time that you are already allocating. It's just focusing those hours into the training program to launch this editorial project.
Okay, so the assignments will have to do with the time that we're spending on creating the product itself.
Yes, exactly. The assignments are milestones for you to launch the product. So, for example, uh, one of the assignments is to do a survey with the immigrants communities, trying to understand if you already have a product, if this is the product that they want. If you don't have a product, how this product will look like. So, if you're already doing surveys, well, it's just adapting that survey to this specific goal of the or milestone of the training program. Okay.
I love that. It'll keep us from doing everything to create it during the last week and working 100 hours.
What organization are you, Danielle?
I'm with AZPM, which is the NPR affiliate for Southern Arizona, and
Okay.
I'm the border and immigration reporter there.
Okay. That's great. You would be a great applicant.
Yeah,
Please
I'm
do.
excited about the idea for sure.
So, Hannah, what's your question?
Hi, first off, I love you all. Huge documented fan. So I'm Hannah Hequinyam at Sahan Journal. I'm the community engagement manager. And we do both in-person and online events. So if we were to revamp an event series, would that be counted as an editorial product? Because we have a lot of different editorial products, but I'm just curious about that.
As long as it's able to listen to communities and to uplift needs from the community, and that will be able to feed the editorial team, and that there will be engagement from the editorial team, yes. If
Okay.
it's just events with no editorial relationship, and if it's just events where you will not be listening, um, the answer is no. But if you can make it, again, if you can make it, like, if you can frame it as these events will be able to become a bridge role for us, maybe it's for events for politicians, and like it's events, you know what I mean? Like, or
Yeah.
maybe it's events at the grassroots level. How can you try to be able to listen from those events, and then what you listen, be able to act on what you listen as an organization? I wouldn't see why not.
Awesome.
But it
Thank
would
you
have to
again.
include like editorial components. It will have to be able to respond to what you hear.
Yes,
Awesome.
Nicolas,
Thank you.
I would like to add to what Nicolas was saying, that as long as we can see it, like it's not just one event that you want to do, it's like maybe a series of events, and
Right.
you have outputs from those events that you will say, okay, this listening sessions ended up being a series of stories, or maybe a video not a campaign, but a video series on your Instagram account or your Facebook account. Yes, we absolutely, because there will be something that will be serving the immigrant communities.
Yeah, for example, people know about our WhatsApp, WeChat, Nextdoor. We also do events. So it's another part of our engagement with the immigrants. And then in those events, for example, internally and documented, we care for the events that we host ourselves. We try to come up with like a regular survey or converse or like 2 or 3 questions that then get fed to the newsroom. And the same with the events that we table, which are like third party events. We also try to understand and listen to the people, and then that becomes like an inside report that gets fed on to the newsroom. That would be an example how we do it. I think that Danielle is still with the hand raised. Is there
I
another
had another
question? Okay.
question, but if that's all right.
Absolutely.
I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what sorts of things we can use the money for. Specifically, like I was thinking about, um, like if I wanted to partner with like some local journalists in the community who maybe are freelance or maybe have some startup project, could I use some of that money to support a partnership with them in any way, whether it's to help them to travel to where they need to go or whatever it might be.
Yeah, the answer is yes. You are able to allocate that money towards any process of your time with us. Um, you're able to, I mean, in fact, it would be great if you are able to use it for that purposes. You can use it, for example, if you want to print things, if you want to pay ads for the survey, if you want to give, for example, we make a survey like yeah, it's a survey, but then as a second round, we do interviews, one-on-one interviews. We give some stipends to the people that are dedicating an hour for us. So we pay for that hour. Um, so it's general education money that you are able to use for those matters.
Awesome. Thank you.
I have another question. My little hand is not working for some reason. But I wanted to go back to something in the application, which was about you briefly touched on like the sort of, the full-time staff and why that's important. But I was curious, can there be like two people who are kind of like the sort of project leads or product leads that are applying and going through all of the training together?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were saying that the person related with development and fundraising,
Hello?
they must attend those 3 sessions, but of course they are invited to join the whole training program. There's no problem with that at all. We welcome everyone. Yeah. Any other questions, doubts, concerns? You're muted, Nico.
It always happens to me. Elijah's or at the beginning of this call dropped a link. So for anyone who has many more questions, and this call will also be embedded in documentedny.com/education. So you can come back to it, and that will be the place for you all to apply. We also added our emails, Maria's and mine. So if you have any questions, you can directly reach us. Eli has a question.
Hi, I have one last question for you that I think will be important for this group of folks. Um, what happens with the products that the folks in this cohort will create? Who owns it?
they own it. I mean, the fact that we work with them and we support them during the process, this is a 100% a product that it's their own product. We don't retain any kind of copyright or anything that it's related with the final results. That's absolutely a product that belongs to the newsrooms.
To the newsrooms, because we will be signing a contract with the organization, not with the reporter. So it's copyright. I mean, it's intellectual property of the other organization. And to reiterate, basically the whole idea of this project is that we are able to trespass all the knowledge that we have gathered during the last 6, 7 years working with immigrant communities in New York City with engagement methodologies, but also because we have built a great team with Maria, in product with Allied, in development with Rebecca, that we are also able to coach the participating newsroom. So you will have basically like a pop-up consultant for a product department, product development department, as coaches along all the 15 modules, the 16 weeks, but then also for even more than 1 year more. So that's basically the like what we are offering. It's not only money, it's us being coaching along the way and even after launch, because we also have experience on what happens after you launch, and how you can measure and how you can maybe sometimes even tweak existing products. Basically, apply for this program because we can be with you along the way as coaches, even after you launch.
And now that you mentioned the memorandum of understanding that newsrooms have to sign with us, Rodrigo, I want to mention that it's very important for your newsroom to be ready to sign that, to have the buy-in from them, in case you are selected, because this is something that all newsrooms have to do to be part of this training program. Okay? Well, if we don't have any more questions, I'm going to thank you all for joining us today. And I wanted to remember that the deadline is October the 12th, 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. And please remember that the way we are seeing this training program is more than training. It's an opportunity to transform how your newsrooms connect and serve immigrant communities, and that way you will serve the whole community in a better way. So thank you so much for attending this Q&A, and we'll be waiting for your applications. So thank you so much and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, everyone.